Ciao, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to show you how you can migrate an existing project to version catalog. This is a new way of defining dependencies in your project. It's from the documentation, the suggested way if you have a project that has multiple modules inside of it. Usually what you have in your project, as you can see on the screen on the right side, is hard-coded implementation with hard-coded versions as well. While on the left side, you can see it's much more cleaner way of declaring the dependencies. So how does this work? Well, in order for it to work, you need a file which is a libs.versions.toml. You can actually name it as you want, but the Gradle search by default for that specific name. And you have to define this specific file in the root Gradle folder of your project. So the first step is actually to create the file. Let's go ahead and do it. So the easiest way to do it is to open the project structure and change from Android to project. Now, if you collapse everything and reopen your project, you will see that you have a Gradle folder here, which has a wrapper folder inside of it. If you right click on it and click new file, you can then create the file. The default name, as I said, is libs.versions.toml. Once you create this, you can swap back to the Android, and you see it's not here. You can't see the file here in the Gradle script, while here you can see it here. So what changes? Well, maybe the only thing missing is a sync project with Gradle files. If we sync the project, the files will appear in the project structure. Now, after you do this, what you have to do is to start the migration. Version catalog accepts three main bodies. One is version, one is libraries, and one is plugins. After you do that, I would suggest you to sync the project in order for it to get the update that you just did. So now you have two choices. One is to go one by one for every of your dependencies and move it into the version catalog. Let's get this one, the first one, Android work runtime KTX, and move it there. So let's move it by the end of the file, and then let's start moving it into the right position. So let's define a version which will be work runtime KTX, and it will be equals to 2.9.0. The recommended naming is using camel case for the version and kebab case for the library's name. So let's go ahead and define the work runtime KTX. Now you need a name, a group, and a version.reference ref, which will be the work runtime KTX. Now the name is the first part before the double dots. So it will be androidx.work. And the group is instead the second bit of the definition between the first two dots and the version. And this is how you define a library here in the version.toml file. Let's sync again. And as soon as it finishes syncing, we can go back to our Gradle file. Now, if we go back to our build Gradle, we can remove this part here and replace it with libs, work, runtime, KTX, and sync our project. And there we go. Now we have a way better solution to declare the dependency in our file. As you can see, Android Studio, as of Android Studio Iguana 2023.2.1 patch 1, built on March 13, 2024, will help you migrate all the libraries that you have defined here into a version catalog file. So if you hover one of them and click Option Enter, you can replace with new library catalog declaration for Dagger. So let's go ahead and do it. As you can see, Android Studio replaced it for us and also created a new one, which is Dagger, with a module and a version ref. As you can see, there is a difference between the Dagger definition created by Android Studio and our one, which is slightly different. What changes is that there are two ways in which you can define a library here. One is by using the module and using the enter definition. One is using name and group by splitting it with the two dots. Now, if we sync the project, this error should go away. And if we keep going, for example, with another library, we can see that there are two options here, which one of them is replace with new library catalog declaration reusing version variable Dagger, and one is replaced with new library catalog declaration for Google Dagger compiler. So the first one will create a new library entry, which is Dagger compiler, as you can see, and reuses the Dagger version already defined here. Let's sync our project to get rid of errors. Now, Hilt uses the same version, which is 2.50. And as you can see, it suggests you to reuse the version variable Dagger. Let's see what happens if we don't. If we don't, a new entry here is used, Dagger Hilt Android, with the module and the version ref, and also another new version is defined, which is 2.50. Let's sync the project to get rid of everything for us. Now you have two ways. One is manually change all of them, and the other is going ahead and option enter and let Android Studio handle everything for you, which is what I'm gonna do now. And we're done. We replaced everything that was replaceable with just a simple option enter replace, and our libs.versions.toml file is getting populated. Now you might see that some of them, which are missing the version, it wasn't able to do it itself. So I will get this one as an example and show you how to do it. So if you see here, this one is the same, Android UI test JUnit 4. So let's go ahead and see how it is implemented. The only thing that changes is that there is no version defined. So it's not a big deal. We can do it ourselves. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's copy those versions here in the catalog files, and now let's give them a name. So they will be, well, let's omit the Android X. Let's go with compose UI, and then the second one, you can now see that they're not used, but this is because I'm still haven't used them in our Gradle file. So let's come back here. And replace those one with the new one. Now, one simple thing is that we can replace the dash with a dot, replace all, and we say that we didn't use the, did we use decompose? Yes, we did. So let's sync again, and all those errors should go away. Ooh, my bad. What I forgot is prepend everything with libs. Otherwise, it won't work. It won't recognize that it's coming from the libs catalog. So now everything works. Perfect. Here, it actually did a replace meant removing the platform, but it recognized that it was missing it and suggested me to add it. So that's good. You don't have to pay too much attention to it. And there we go. Now we did a complete migration to a version catalog file. One thing that we haven't done yet is another difference in the plugins. As you can see here, we have them are coded, while here we don't. We're using aliases. So to do so, as there is the plugin part here as well, we want to define those plugins here in the other file. So let's go ahead and see how we can do it. For example, the Android application will be quite easy to do. Let's go ahead and do it. Android application, and it's equal with an ID of com Android application and a version.ref, which we need to define. So let's go ahead, and what I suggest you to do is use a sort of even prefix or postfix to distinguish version that you use in libraries and version that you use in the plugin. As you can see here, there is the KSP plugin version or Hilt Android plugin version. So we'll do the same, and it will be Android application plugin, which will be 8.3.1. And now that we have it, we can use it here. And then we can sync the project and go back here. And instead of the ID, we can use an alias, libs plugin Android application. As you can see, we got an error. What it says is that there is an error resolving the plugin because it was already defined. And that is because the plugins are defined here as well. So we need to change them from here as well. As you can see, the same applies for this one, for this other project that I have. So let's go ahead and do the same here and click on try again. And perfect. We got no error after replacing it from here as well. So I'll now go ahead and replace all the other ones from here as well. Okay. Took me a while, but I was able to finally get all the plugins done as well. Now, what I want to show you is that if you have another module which has the same dependencies as something that you already defined somewhere else, it will show you that you can replace them with existing declaration. You see, Android Core KTX can be replaced with existing version category reference. So let's go ahead and do it. Here, this one as well, and this one as well. Now we have a few ones that are not there already, so let's go ahead and replace them with new library catalog definitions and sync the project. Perfect, everything works. The website has the migration guide to help you migrate your build to version catalogs. It goes step by step as I did. I'll leave the link to the documentation down below. So if you're interested, you can check that out as well. And if you liked the video, give it a like, consider subscribing for more content. And until next time, see ya.